Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today's video we're going to be checking out Sorcerer Supreme and what are my initial impressions of her. Now I do not know if this is going to qualify as a full guide video, but we're going to go through quickly some of her abilities and then I'm going to bring her in an uncollected quest and we're going to try and clear that to showcase how it works. But to cut Sorcerer Supreme's abilities kind of like in short, she, like Doctor Strange and Symbiote Supreme, rotates in between three different blessings: attack blessing, defense blessing, and utility blessing. Each of them have different effects, and she also additionally has rune effects. Now I have already made a full video of her full ability breakdown just as she got announced. But now initially the things that we will definitely notice in this video, that she is not the highest damage output champion, and she's also a bit of a ramp up champ. Having buffs in the matchups is quite important to access higher amounts of damage, because if you do not gain any extra power gain, it's quite tricky to keep those armor breaks up and keep them going. All that being said, I do think she has arguably the best slow debuff in the game, and that pretty much alone makes her champion of interest for me personally, because slow mechanic has proved to be extremely valuable because there are so many different unstoppables and evades in the game, so on and so forth, and she's a champion that can keep up that slow debuff the most effortlessly. And obviously there's some regeneration, armor breaks, and so on and so forth. So some good stuff definitely there, but it's also evident that she's not the hardest puncher in the game. At least not if she's well ramped up. So let's just avoid this level 1. Now I'm in power still phase, so I have no need for a slow in this matchup, so I'm dropping my level 2 on my armor break rotation, and that obviously deals more damage. So now I have defensive module active, which is still fine because I can use it to regen any tiny chip damage they have taken and place additional armor break on the Proxima. And at this point pretty much the fight's over. So 35 hits to take down an opponent in uncollected monthly 3.1, and obviously that was with class advantage, but there were no buffs involved. So the fight length is not long. She does throw, like, all in all, a decent damage output, even in like smaller fights, but it's definitely not like mind-blowing, no big yellow numbers or crazy numbers like New Storm has. However, I personally typically do value utility quite a bit more over the damage in itself. So therefore I'm naturally a bit more drawn to utility champions. Having huge amounts of damage is fine and cool and all, but there are many champions in this game who have high amount of damage. What I'm personally looking for is champions that will answer tricky situations and hard matchups. We didn't make a boo-boo there, but we have a Quake's Evade synergy that's gonna save me. And I still managed to place that armor break, so that's all that matters, kind of. Okay, we can trigger that heal again with additional armor break, and it should do some decent damage if it crits. Didn't, but hey, now we can power steal some, which is perfectly fine, and the fight is over. So getting those armor breaks are quite potent, and in right matchups where opponents have a lot of buffs, you'll definitely enjoy the ability to spam a lot of special attacks. Now this is another interesting interaction I like, because if we look at Symbiote Supreme's abilities, she has a negative physical resistance but plus 2000 energy resistance, which lets Storm take a lot less cold snow damage. As an example, I'm gonna bring in Doctor Strange now. Now I'm not gonna try and win this fight, but let's just take how much he ticks. Oh, wait. Oh, right, I get it. Never mind, it didn't tick for anything, because it was Nick Fury's synergy. Let's try and eat a level 1 and see then the cold snap. Never mind, we had an evade. This is not working out well for me. Okay, let's try and eat it now. So we are ticking for 242. So that's like an average champion with no increased energy resistance. 242. That is quite a lot of damage. So now we're going to bring in Sorcerer Supreme. I'm going to try and do the same. But that extreme conditions cooling kit thing is still going to save me. So what I want to do is I want to activate some healing here first. Regenerate and block, that's fine, and let's eat that level 1 now. I mean, in a bit. Let's just drop that level 2 so I can move the fight along, but try and eat a level 1 on purpose. So how much you're ticking for? 155, so we are ticking for a lot less in this instance. And that's gonna be a good mission for me to try and heal up for the rest of the fights. So yeah, we can definitely see that there is quite a large damage reduction. At the same point now, at this point I have to be careful to try and heal up my Sorcerer Supreme, so I'm going to try and play it a bit differently this time. And since this is adaptive node, what I'm going to try and do is activate my level 1, which will activate the nullification aura, which is going to get rid of some of the buffs these guys have. Additionally, I'm going to get quick access to my initial heals, and then hopefully I can get quickly to level 3 in the next rotation. Well, it's fine. Let's just drop the level 2 now first. Activate another heal. And that's what I want to do. I will want to spam my special attacks when I'm on defensive state. Try and get in as many of these heals as I can. So I'm definitely not focusing on damage now, I'm just trying to trigger as many heal buffs as I can. Let's go for that level 3 in the armor phase. And slowly but surely we can recover some health. Now her healing abilities are very useful, definitely lets you recover a lot of kind of like chip damage, not to mention that she heals majority of the block damage as well. But yeah, it's not really kind of like a massive regen that some other champions have. It's very good to have, but it's not gonna be life-changing for the most part. So we're gonna have some more healing here, but no, we nuked the opponent first. It's fine, so this was a longer fight, but it served the purpose, right guys? Okay, this fight shouldn't be too bad as well, so I'm gonna try and launch a level 1. And while I'm on healing phase, activate nullification aura, nullify some of his buffs, and heal up a bit more. I know what I can do as well. Let's nullify these things. Switch back to healing. Perfect. Now every special attack is gonna heal me up. And then in next fight, I guess you can try and go for max damage, I suppose. And then we're gonna have some fun with Mr. Sinister. So now every special attack I throw will trigger a heal. Wonderful. And that's some decent punching power there as well. I just want to spam my special attacks on purpose, kind of. But yeah, we have recovered up to 47%, so in a couple of fights, and those fights didn't last too long either. That's not too bad. It's definitely not enough to cover Suicide Mastery, so keep that in mind. She is 100% not Suicide Friendly champion. Let's go up against this Namor. So this time I'm gonna try and go for maximum amount of damage. So I'm gonna again drop my level 1. Well, I suppose we're gonna drop level 3 now, because I'm on Power Steel phase. It's very handy. Let's drop that level 3, so now every special attack I'm gonna use is going to inflict armor break on opponent. The rune system is actually quite simple, to be fair, but you do have to keep an eye on it. It kind of reminds me to a degree maybe a bit of Silver Surfer, where you have to consistently keep an eye on which blessing you are. And there we go, the fight's over. It didn't take too long as well, 30 hits, so she's doing fine in these uncollected opponents. Overall, not too bad of a damage output. I did try some fights in Realm of Legends where it didn't kind of like seem as impressive, but let's keep it real. It's like a rank 3 5-star with no suicides, and damage is not going to be her forte. So with that, I didn't know it's here. Special 1 bias, it's fine. Aggression, precision. So let's see whether Sorcerer Supreme can deal with this fight. So the goal here again is going to be quite simple. I just want to get to a level 3 relatively quickly, and I want to have an armor break on that level 3. Perfect. So now every special attack I'm going to use, I'm going to place an armor break on the opponent. The ideal strategy would kind of be also to get some of the slow debuffs on Mr. Sinister, because okay, ideal strategy might be to get some healing done soon, because I want to mitigate Mr. Sinister's healing. And I messed up again, but I have the await synergy, so that would be okay. So I'm not going to try and heal up too much on purpose here. I'm just going to try and go for damage and see if I can last it out. But if I'm going to happen to drop some level 2s on the shield phase, that's fine. So let's go for some more debuffs. Just fine. Some damage. Okay, so I'm gonna get some healing in as well now. That's perfect, because I have plenty of other runes. So I can mitigate block damage and start healing up some. Let's go for another set. So those 4 debuffs currently on Mr. Sinister are mitigating his healing by like 60%, so that's quite useful. And at the same time I have a couple of heals, so I'm regenning. Can take some stuff on the block. Perfect. Let's get some debuffs back up there. Trigger some healing, get debuffs. Wonderful, decent punch to finish it off. So that is kind of like a small showcase, but you're gonna notice when you use Sorcerer Supreme, and I'm not gonna jump in like a Realm of Legends not showcase it, but once she starts the fight, she can pretty much have the slow debuff active throughout the entire duration of the fight. Certainly if you use your level 3 on that utility phase. So that is the reason, that's the main reason why I have high hopes for the character. The fact that she can take a lot of block damage is super helpful as well. And there are many different kind of like redeeming qualities. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interesting plays that come out with her. Now, two things on the downside, or maybe a couple more things on the downside that you do need to know if you are considering investing in this character. Number one, that her physical resistance is not really a problem. She may feel a bit squishy at some, but that regeneration on block and that small regen that she gets is kind of like enough to cover damage. Not to mention she gains a huge armor rating when she's in that defensive state. She gains 1300 armor and 30% increased perfect block chance. So that is quite significant addition to their bulkiness as well. So she's not she doesn't seem as fragile of a champion, for instance, as Stark Spider-Man would or some others, because she has ways how to mitigate that damage, and they are seemingly almost like ever present in a fight, especially if it's a longer fight. The one bigger problem I have with Sorcerer Supreme is her nullify game is quite weak. Her like literally only ways to essentially nullify stuff is with a special one. The first hit has a 100% chance to nullify one buff on the opponent, and that's it. And then you get this aura that works when you're close to the opponent, but quite often buffs like Unstoppable, okay, Unstoppable is a bad example, but quite often just getting close to opponents might be tricky at times. So yeah, out of most dominant Mystic characters, her Nullify game is like one of the weakest overall, especially if you take a look at Dr. Doom, Black Widow Clairvoyant, or Symbiote Supreme with staggers and stuff. She's not your standard Nullify power control Mystic. So a lot of qualities that you would typically judge a Mystic character by are a bit different here, because she doesn't have a great amount of power control. It can be useful, but it's not great power control. She doesn't have a great Nullify game. So if your roster is kind of like desperate for a Mystic character rank up to deal with these issues, she's not going to be a great option for you. However, she has, again, in my opinion, probably the best slow debuff and the most easily sustainable slow debuff, stackable slow debuff, and basically every other champion that can get slow and can use slow debuff has quite a lot of limitations to it. Like She-Hulk and Spider-Gwen has to be able to drop the heavy attacks, and that quite often is not as easy as it sounds. If there's limber involved, if there's stun immunity involved, so on and so forth. And therefore there will be a large amount of matchups where it's not really as practical as Sorcerer Supreme, for instance, would be. In addition, obviously, you have Stealth Suit Spidey, which again has to rely on being able to effectively kind of like drop a full combo to place a debuff, to place a slow debuff on an opponent, and that quite often isn't possible, especially if you look at 6.4, where there's like a lot of tunnel vision stuff or some Mixmaster nodes where you're forced to alternate your hit combos and you're just unable to finish a full combo. Not to mention that, for instance, if you're up against Spider-Man and if you're trying to land a full combo on Spider-Man, then there's a good chance that they're going to wait meanwhile. When it comes to actually practically using slow debuff as one of your biggest strengths, I think she has the first place over there. And then obviously matchups where there are a lot of buffs that can be nullified or expired, then she can spam a lot of attacks, she can deal a lot of damage, she can take a lot of hits and block. So I'm 100% positively certain that this champion in particular will be useful in several situations to come, in many different aspects of the game, perhaps Alliance War, maybe some other problems, because yes, I do think that that slow debuff is probably the most powerful debuff in the game currently, and one of the best sources of utility, and she has, again, as I said, pretty much the best of it. The only obviously downside is that you can't slow science champions, but I kind of like that rotation, that science champions can't slow skilled champions, Stealth Suit Spider-Man can't slow mutants, and she can't slow science champions, and there are champions like Thing, there are Spider-Mans that you would typically want to be under slow debuff, but at the same time there are plenty of these champions in other classes. All that being said, I do think she's somewhere close up top to the best Mystic characters. Not quite there, probably not in like top 3, but a very, very solid choice and a bit alternate take on Mystic abilities, because technically there's a bit of power control, technically there's a bit of buff control, but her main piece of utility definitely will be that regen on block and the slow debuff. And yeah, I do like it. I do not want to overhype the champion. I take it for what she is, but it's extremely likely that I will want to take her up to rank 5 in near future to cover for some nodes that I might not have as great of an answers for. So yeah, all that being said, this video is about Sorcerer Supreme, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. See ya.